Folks, there are tough decisions that few people are prepared to make. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending March 19th, 2025. I was speaking with a couple that today find themselves in a position where they have to sell the two properties they own, but the real story really is what's led up to this. They've had their principal residence for a while, and they've got some equity built up. And as they get more mature in age, they start thinking about their retirement, and they thought, it'd be nice if we had a condo to retire in. We'll sell our home one day and we'll move into a condo. And that's what they did there. They ended up buying a condo earlier than their retirement, thinking that prices are going up every year. It makes sense if we can afford to do it now. Let's buy this condo. And so they bought a condo and they were renting it out, not for the purposes of being landlords, but instead of leaving it empty, they had it rented out. And so to buy this, they pulled equity out of their home to do that. And with values going up every year at the time, their attitude was, we don't really need to focus on paying our home's mortgage and loan down just because the increase in equity, it'll take care of all that. And they focused over the next few years on paying down the mortgage on the condo. And so they've built up some equity in this condo because of that. Now, their main source of income was a personal business that they had. This is where they earned their money. And things weren't going so good at this point with their business. Business basically dried up, and they were having a tough time covering the two homes, the two mortgages. They were racking up credit cards. Those were getting out of hand. So they needed an influx of cash to sustain their lifestyle and to, inject some cash into their business to get that going again. They already had a bunch of loans on their home that they used to buy the condo that they were paying just minimum, so nothing really changed much there. But the condo did have some equity built up on that now, so they pulled money out of there to deal with their personal life, their personal bills, and to help with the business. And that worked for a little while, not long. Their business never really picked up again, and so they found themselves in a position again. Bills were racked up, and now the lender is knocking on the door. Basically, now they got to sell both these properties. So this is where they are today. Looking back, and it's really easy to be in a position now to look back to see where sometimes maybe perhaps mistakes were made. Look, looking back, it's easy to point at this and to point at that. But when you find yourself in certain situations, we don't always make the right choice. And sometimes making certain choices is not always based on logic. The couple told me that if they would have, back then when they ran into trouble the first time and they needed to pull money, if they just would have sold their home instead, that would have, first of all, relieved a huge financial obligation on their part and moved into the condo, which was their plan at some point anyways to do. Things could be different today. They didn't do that though. They tried to maintain and hold on to everything because the home, well, that's where the family met every Sunday. That was their hub. This is where their kids would come back to visit, and they just weren't ready to move into the condo just yet. They weren't ready to shut the business that they worked so hard to do. They wanted to keep it going, and they put more money into that. All this, their decisions was not so much based on logic and finances and what makes sense. Their decisions was based mostly on sentiment, on pride, on, we want to maintain on this, even though that financially maybe it didn't make sense. And this is them looking back, telling me they wish they would have done it this way and that way instead. Look, many people are they're going to be at crossroads where they've got to make some really, really, really tough decisions. And I can tell you that many times it's our pride that got us, sometimes a pride and sentiment that got us into whatever financial situation we're in. And sometimes to get out of it, many times the smart choice is not based on pride or sentiment. The smart choice that could really help you is based more on logic. So be careful when you're at that crossroads of, things, we can go this way or we can go that way. Oftentimes the smart choices are based more on logic, the choices that will fix things for you for the future. If you think this video can help somebody please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, or you can go straight to tsre.ca. My calendar is there. Book a time and a date that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. The Toronto real estate market for week ending March 19th. These are the numbers. These are average sold price for detached, semis and towns. Condos are way down here. There's a $900,000 difference between the average condo price and the average detached price. This show is all about the freehold market for the city of Toronto. Tomorrow's show is all about condos for the different parts of the GTA. So we're going to start off with detached properties. For week ending March 19th, 122 detached properties were sold across the city of Toronto. 28 of those were at $2 million or more. So which way are sales going? Are they trending up? Are they trending down? It's kind of tough for me to say, to be honest. 122 were sold. Previous week was 110. Before that, 138, 115. It's really tough to say which way they're going. They're bouncing up and down a little bit. Overall, averages out to about 115 a week. I'm not sure which way they're going right now, though, which is a little surprising. I would expect, as we see most years, sales to be trending upwards at this time of the year. Average sold price is $1,599,000. It's also tough to say which way that's been trending. Now, if we kind of go back to the beginning of the year, we're way up from where we started in January. But I think it's kind of flat, actually, when I look at it from this perspective here. Maybe trending down a little bit overall is what I would say. But we're going to look at the 4-week moving average in a few more slides. This is all detached properties. For those of you that are interested to know, 3 bedrooms, 57 were sold. 1,394,000 is the average price of the 3-bedroom detached that sold. And for the 4-bedroom detached, 46 were sold. Average price is $1,870,000. There is almost a $500,000 difference between the average 3-bedroom selling and the average 4-bedroom selling. Back to detached properties. For March 19th this year versus last year, 1,599 is just shy. It's a little bit lower than where we were at the same period last year, but it rounds off to a 0% change. And for the previous 2 weeks, it's also been really, really close. We were negative 1%, up by 2%, so it's been pretty close the last couple of weeks. The median price is a 5% increase this year versus last year. Earlier I said it looks like maybe prices are sloping down. What I meant to say was it's actually the other way. If we look at the 4-week moving average, this is over a span of 3 months. Both the median and average price are slightly trending upwards, actually. 122 were sold, 27% sold at list price or more. So that's 33 of the 122. Listings took a big jump. If we look at the previous weeks, and the orange, those are listings this year. The blue, that's a year ago. Listings have been up and down, but kind of steady. But this 1 week from March 19th, listings went from 320 in 1 week to 455. So listings for detached properties way up for this week. Active listings are sitting at 1,925, which is a 61% increase from where active listings were this time a year ago. So we got way more listings out on the market. Months of inventory, I would say holding steady at about 3.6 months of inventory. That's the whole city. If we break Toronto down into 9 different sections, we say the whole city averages to 3.6. Look, there's some neighborhoods that are way off of the 3.6. For example, uptown here, Willowdale, Bayview Village, sitting at 10.4 months of inventory. Rexdale, Downsview, sitting at 6.3 months of inventory. But most of the other areas are kind of hovering around the 3.6. Scarborough's 3.1, Riverdale Beach is 3.6, Midtown 3.9, West End 3.1, and so forth. High Park, a little bit lower at 2.5 months of inventory. Here's semi-detached properties. Sales clearly trending down for the last 4 weeks now. 35 semi-detaches were sold. 5 were at $1.5 million or more. Average price, $1,303,000. Kind of steady over the last, it's been down and up, but pretty similar. Compared to the median, compared to last year, 1,303 is 1% lower. The median price of 1,151, it's a little bit higher, but rounds off to a 0% change. Now for a while, average price for semis and median price was trending up, but the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, it's pretty flat. Months of inventory, looks like it's climbing. We're now at 2.5 months of inventory. Townhouses, these are freehold townhouses. Sales are kind of flat. 12 freehold townhomes sold across the whole city of Toronto. Not many freehold townhomes are selling. 12 are sold, 3 sold at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,354,000. 1,354, 16% higher year over year. Median price 12% higher. When you talk about as few sales as 12, it's really difficult to put a lot of stock into, a lot of value into the numbers that are being produced when the sampling is so low. Months of inventory sitting at 3.5. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. For the most part, you're going to experience a balanced market. For the most part, it's going to be situations where you're going to find yourself in a competition with other buyers. These are for the homes that are exceptional, that more than one buyer wants to buy at one time. But for the most part, pretty much a balanced market all around. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.